What cheer, y'all? Well, continuing on with Pennsylvania Derby Day at Parks, we're going to talk about the Cotillion. It's a Grade 1, 13th race on Saturday's card at Parks, run at a mile and a 16th for the 3-year-old fillies. So this is the counterpart, female counterpart to the Pennsylvania Derby. Take a look at the field, and we've got some familiar faces. We've got Scottish Lassie, Lacara, and Good Cheer certainly would be the most prominent, and Good Cheer is the second choice, which is a little surprising to me in some respects. We'll talk about them one by one. Scottish Lassie is kind of an intriguing horse to me because this one either is really good or disappointing. And when I say disappointing, not in the way of up the track and didn't run at all. It's just you maybe expect a little bit better. And so the last race seemed to be kind of a pristine situation, a perfect entity. You caught immersive, maybe not what she was last year, and aside from immersive, kind of a soft field, and Scottish Lassie just took advantage and blew the field away. And you can also say it wasn't just a matter of immersive not being at her best or prior best, let's say. But Scottish Lassie really ran a hole in the wind. I mean, she just blew that field away, and she had demonstrated that in the past. So, can Scottish Lassie do that again? Well, it's certainly possible. I think that the race shape is a little different here and is going to make it more challenging with the presence of Lacara in the race. Certainly, I don't think Scottish Lassie necessarily has to have the lead, but she seems to run her best when she does. So you got to wonder about that a little bit. But I think Scottish Lassie, if she rates and can stay just off of Lacara, tactically will be in a really good position. But I just don't can't quite put her on top. Let's say I just think the race shape isn't as favorable as it is for my selection, which we'll talk about. You can see obviously. Lacara, Mark Casse himself has said Lacara is either going to win on the lead or make sure that you don't. And I thought that was a pretty good way to put it. This is a horse who, when she's on the lead all by herself and everything's bright and rosy, it's no problem for Lacara. When it's not, she's kind of like Magnitude. When everything's her way, she's hard to beat. But when everything's not her way, she's very vulnerable. And I think this is a case of she doesn't necessarily have anybody who can run with her for an extended period of time with Not Too Late or Dry Powder, but I think they're going to pressure her as well as Scottish Lassie. And that to me spells doom for Lacara, and that's why I'm going to toss her. I'm not even going to bother with her in this race because usually if she doesn't win, she doesn't stick around. So that's kind of the instance there. Not Too Late and Dry Powder are both they're local horses, and Dry Powder's isn't a bad horse. I just don't think matches up class wise, and I don't think Not Too Late is good enough, and so I'm going to let either of them go. Now, Clico is, aside from having a great name, and if it's a nice champagne for those of you who don't know, but the thing with Clico, I have some question marks. I won the last race and did so in the Indiana Oaks pretty impressively, but I didn't think it was the greatest field, and moreover, it wasn't. This is a horse that had been on a really nice progression with Lasix and ran the Indiana Oaks without Lasix, and even though she won it impressively, didn't post a career high speed figure or one that was really close to anything she had run with Lasix. Now, it wasn't that far off what she ran with Lasix, and maybe she was, I don't know, maybe she didn't have to run her optimal race to win there, but she did draw off, and I think she was able to run as she wanted. So I have some reservations that she can jack it up without Lasix, and that's really the reason for letting Clico go. It's hard to knock a Brendan Walsh horse in these stakes races, but I'm going to do so. If I have to choose between Clico and Indy Bay as the ones who will be pressing the pace, I like Indy Bay. Has not run around 2 turns, and that certainly is an issue because you don't want to have a horse who hasn't done something before and get interested in. But her pedigree does speak to 2 turns, and it is a little concerning to me why they haven't put her around 2 turns yet. But has demonstrated the ability to win, which I like, and some competitiveness. And I think the pedigree, she should be able to get 2 turns. And sometimes horses, when they move to 2 turns for the first time, being sprinters, they can freak and they can run a really big race. So I'm going to bank on that with Indy Bay. And at 8-1, I really like the price, and that's good to spice up the exotics. So let's talk about Good Cheer. This horse is, I have been on this horse, was on this horse for a long time, and I got off in the Oaks, regrettably, and she proved me very wrong. The thing that has always been the knock is, you look at her numbers on the whole, and they're good for a stakes horse, but they're not great. And that was really my knock on her going into the Oaks, is I said, well, she hasn't run a race as fast as some of the others. She wins, and she just, blew that field away. And this is a horse who maybe you could accuse of doing just enough to win, or doing what she has to win. Maybe there's some validity there. And so I was willing to take a shot against her in the Alabama, and we beat her. She still ran second, and she ran her best speed figure to date coming off the bench. And that tells me that perhaps we underestimated this horse a little bit. It's hard to underestimate a horse who's undefeated, but I think maybe there's a little more in the tank here. And I think this horse is continuing to progress. Moreover, I think the scenario for this race, with Lucara particularly in the mix and having others that are going to press her, should make for a spirited pace. It may not be lightning fast, but it's going to be quick enough that it's going to provide Good Cheer egress and an ability to come up and close this race. And I think is second off the layoff, I'm expecting Good Cheer to run a really nice race. If we get anything around 5-2, I'll be very happy because I think things set up better for her than they do for Scottish Lassie, who I think is a solid candidate in here and can win the race. But I'm going to give it to Good Cheer, more so because of the scenario. And I think this one can run a race I think can maybe build off of what she did in the Alabama. And we'll just have to see. Our daydreaming girl, I'm throwing in the mix. Much if you watch the Pennsylvania Derby post, it's much the same reason I'm putting a Happy Delusional in the mix. Not going to be anywhere near the leaders. Coming from way off the pace, is going to just has the opportunity to suck up and get into the trifecta. And the 20-1 is a good price. So we'll go with our daydreaming girl underneath. So we take a look at our wagering strategy. It's pretty simple. We're going to go Good Cheer to win. Going to keep it light on the exactas. We're going to go 7-1-1-7. If you want to throw one in with Indy Bay, that would be fine. You could do a little key box there, but I think it's just 7-1-1-7 to me. Trifecta, 7-1-4 cold, 1-7-4 cold, and then we'll do 1-7-1-7 with 6. Our daydreaming girl is kind of a saver. It's not a race I would be with the top two. I think are going to run 1-2 that I'm going to be running to the window to bet, but so consequently I would keep it, fairly conservative, kind of playing flag, not use a whole lot of horses, and if it hits, great, and if it doesn't, you're not out a whole lot. That's just the way I would play it. So Good Cheer in the Cotillion. Hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy, and I wish you the best of luck as always. And certainly, if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And again, thanks to all of you who continue to grow our community. We will hopefully have a late pick five sequence for Parks on Saturday. It is all stakes. I think there's 6 or 7 in a row. So some really good races, and looks like there's going to be some nice betting opportunities. So stay tuned for that. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.